All right, buying your first home, it's a massive, super exciting milestone, right? But let's be real, it can also feel incredibly overwhelming. So in this explainer, we're going to cut right through all that noise and show you exactly how to dodge the common traps that trip up so many first-time buyers.
It's such a powerful dream. You can almost picture it, can't you? Walking through that front door, the life you're going to build inside, that excitement, that's the fuel that gets you started. But it's having a smart, clear plan that actually gets you across the finish line without any of those costly mistakes.
Because honestly, the road from dreaming about a house to actually owning one is kind of full of potential landmines. But hey, don't worry, we're going to lay out a roadmap for you, one that shows you not just the practical steps, but also the mental traps you really got to watch out for.
Okay, let's dive in. Because believe it or not, the most important work you're going to do happens before you even look at a single online listing. Getting your financial house in order from the get-go is absolutely the key to a smooth and successful home buying journey.
Think of this as your non-negotiable to-do list. First, you've got to check your credit score. Know where you stand. Second, get a real, full-blown, underwritten pre-approval. This is so important. It's not one of those 2-minute online pre-qualifications. A pre-approval means a lender has actually dug into your finances and is willing to back you for a specific loan amount. And third, and this is a big one, figure out the monthly payment that you are actually comfortable with, not just the maximum number the bank says you can borrow.
And here's why that pre-approval is so crucial. In a competitive market, walking into an offer with that pre-approval letter is like showing up to a negotiation with a secret weapon. It proves you're not just a window shopper, you're a serious contender who can actually close the deal. Without it, your offer, it might just end up at the bottom of the pile.
All right, you did the hard work, you've got your pre-approval, and now you are ready for the fun part, the actual house hunt. But this is also where emotions can totally hijack the process. So let's talk about how to keep a clear head.
This right here, this is probably one of the biggest mistakes first-time buyers make. They fall in love with the stuff you can change. You can always repaint ugly walls or renovate a dated kitchen. What you can't change is the school district, how long it takes you to get to work, or the whole vibe of the neighborhood. You have to focus on the things that are permanent. And this quote from expert Allison Bernstein just nails it. You're not just buying a building made of wood and drywall, you're buying into a community. Finding a place where the culture actually fits your life is so much more important than finding a house that's picture perfect on day one. And that brings us to another mental trap. We call it the unicorn trap. It's this hunt for the mythical, perfect house that checks every single one of your boxes. Holding out for that perfect unicorn can actually blind you to some really great, real-world homes that could be a fantastic fit with just a little bit of imagination.
And remember this golden rule. Let your budget be your guide, not your emotions. It is so easy to get swept up in the excitement, maybe even a bidding war for a house you've fallen in love with. But you have to set your maximum price beforehand and be totally prepared to walk away. The right house is the one you can actually afford to enjoy living in, not just barely afford. Okay, so you found a great home, it's in the right neighborhood, awesome. Now it's time to lock in the financing. This part is all about the little details, and you know what? Getting these details right can literally save you thousands of dollars. A huge mistake people make is just talking to one lender, like maybe their main bank. You have to shop around for a mortgage. Get formal loan estimates from at least 3 different lenders. Think banks, credit unions, mortgage brokers. And here's a pro tip. Compare their rates and fees on the same day, so you're really doing an apples-to-apples comparison. Even a tiny difference in the interest rate can add up to tens of thousands of dollars over the life of your loan. It's a big deal.
This is so critical. The moment you're pre-approved, your financial life is basically under a microscope until the day you close. Seriously, don't go finance a new car or buy a whole house full of furniture on credit. Lenders will pull your credit report again right before closing, and any new debt can completely blow up the entire deal at the very last second.
Let's talk about the one thing that feels like the biggest hurdle for most first-time buyers, the down payment. There's a really persistent myth out there that we absolutely need to bust. And there's some help you might not even know exists.
So here it is, the big question, the one that keeps so many people stuck renting for years. This idea that you must have 20% of the home's price saved up in cash just to get in the game.
Well, the answer is a huge, resounding no. It's simply one of the biggest, most outdated myths in all of real estate. Now look, putting 20% down is great because it helps you avoid private mortgage insurance, but it is absolutely not a requirement for most people to buy a home.
So if it's not 20%, what's the reality?
Well, according to the National Association of Realtors, the typical down payment for a first-time homebuyer in the U.S. is just 9%. Think about that for a second. That's less than half of the scary number that keeps so many people from even trying.
And here's how that's possible. There are all these fantastic programs designed specifically to help people get into a home. In the U.S., you've got FHA loans that allow as little as 3.5% down. If you're an eligible veteran or you're buying in certain rural areas, VA and USDA loans can go all the way down to 0% down. Canada has its own great options for less than 20% down with mortgage insurance. And you should always check for local and state first-time homebuyer programs too.
This quote from Ed Konarki is just so powerful. Some people will drain every single penny they have, their savings, their emergency fund, just to scrape together that 20% and avoid paying mortgage insurance. But in doing that, they're left with absolutely no savings at all. It's so much better to pay a little extra each month in insurance than to be completely financially exposed the minute you move in.
So you did it. You got the keys. But the expenses, they don't stop with that mortgage payment. Understanding the true total cost of owning a home is the key to not becoming house poor.
Yeah, that monthly mortgage payment is just one piece of a much bigger pie. You have to factor in property taxes and homeowners insurance, which can add up to thousands of dollars a year. Then you've got utilities, and of course, the big one, maintenance. A really good rule of thumb is to budget about 1 to 3% of your home's value every single year just for upkeep and those unexpected repairs. Because trust me, the water heater will absolutely break at the worst possible time. It's just how it works.
So if there is one big takeaway from all this, it's this. Preparation is your superpower. Being informed, understanding your finances, knowing the market, and seeing the true costs, that's what transforms you from an anxious first-timer into a confident, savvy homebuyer.
Look, buying your first home isn't just a purchase, it's a foundation for your entire future. By avoiding these common traps, you're not just buying a house, you're making a smart, sustainable investment in the life you really want to build. You've got the tools now, so are you ready?